All right, boys, it is the first video of 2025. And here in a sunny 50-degree kind of windy day in Richmond, Virginia. Going down the desolate path. Hey, look at that. We got this thing just fell over. All right. So we got 3 big college football games coming up today. We got Arizona State and Texas today at 1 o'clock. We got Ohio State versus Oregon at 5 o'clock. Congratulations, John, for winning the last trivia game of 2024. Who's going to win the first one? And then we got at 8:45, we got Andy's Bulldogs taking on Notre Dame. So can John's Buckeyes and Andy's Bulldogs win today? By the end of the night, we'll have the semifinals in NCAA Division I football set up on this Wednesday, January 1st, and hope you all had a great Christmas Fest. Christmas Fest ended last night. There was even talk before that we were going to extend it to the 1st, since today is part of the holiday. We decided not to do that. Glad we didn't do that. All right, last night's feature presentation to close out Christmas Fest and the year was Only You, 1992. This one starring Andrew McCarthy, Helen Hunt, Kelly Preston, and some others. Liz Sheridan, you might recognize her as Jerry Seinfeld's mother from Seinfeld. And there's another Seinfeld actor in this, the guy who plays Poppy. You guys remember, like, the Italian waiter guy? He is in this as well. He's a bartender who advises Andrew McCarthy and Helen Hunt to get together for New Year's Eve for the party. This movie does not land on any Christmas movie list. It is a huge shame. If you look at Christmas movies, you'll never see this listed. And I would really recommend watching this film. This is an excellent romantic comedy. It takes place from Christmas Eve all the way to New Year's Day. It may even be, the last scene may even be like January 2nd. But it's this excellent Christmas Fest movie you can watch anytime during Christmas Fest. I like to do it New Year's Eve, since the crux of the film, a very important scene takes place on New Year's Eve and starts out in a party, an office party. Andrew McCarthy and talking to his buddy, and he has this ideal that even though he's kind of an average guy, that he should be with a cover girl type and live happily ever after. He tells his buddy, "Why not us?" And then his buddy's married though, but he gets dumped by his girlfriend, who we never see her, but it's implied that she's very attractive. She dumps him on Christmas Eve. He goes home alone. He's drinking eggnog, all all depressed, drinking eggnog, watching TV. Every channel's got It's a Wonderful Life, which is kind of fitting because Andrew McCarthy has a lot of James Stewart qualities himself as an actor. But he had tickets to go to like the Bahamas for a week, starting Christmas Day, the next day I think, with his girlfriend, and he tries to get him refunded to the travel agency where Helen Hunt is the person in charge there, and they can't do it. He throws him away, and he ends up in a bar that night and meets Kelly Preston's character, who has also just been dumped by a married man, her boyfriend, who's a married man, and she is a, you know, Kelly Preston, incredibly great looking girl. She's real ditzy, but she ends up with Andrew McCarthy that night, and somehow they're drunk, and they wind up going to the Bahamas the next day. They get on the plane and go. They're like, oh, she may have been even passed out, and because that's his like vacation week there through New Year's Eve, and they're together, but she's a real spontaneous type, and she'll kind of pick up with any guy and go out sailing or surfing or whatever, just kind of hanging out with other like meathead muscle heads on the beach, which really doesn't make Andrew McCarthy happy. But he spends his downtime with Helen Hunt, who happens to be there because she does photography too. He just happens to run into her there, spends time with her, but he really has this ideal that Kelly Preston is he's going to marry her, and he's possessive of her, and he wants her to settle down, but Kelly Preston is not that type, and a lot of girls who look like her are not that type, and she ends up kind of ditching him most of the film, most of the time when they're in the Bahamas, and he ends up kind of spending more time with Helen Hunt, and he ends up going to the New Year's Eve party with Helen Hunt, and they're like a perfect match together, because Helen Hunt's more of a girl next door type, but they have a deeper connection together. Kelly Preston shows up at the end, right before the stroke of midnight, at the big party there, and she decides she wants to be with him, which we know it's only fleeting. She really doesn't. She wants to be with him, marry him. And at the stroke of midnight, she kisses him. Kelly Preston kisses Andrew McCarthy, and Helen Hunt just leaves dejected and heartbroken. And on the plane ride back home, Andrew McCarthy realizes that he's made the wrong decision. He gets off the plane, goes back to apologize, but she's not right. She is pretending not to be there, tells the housemaid there where she's staying to say she's left. Andrew McCarthy flies back home, tries to track her down at the travel agency. She no longer works there. Then he finally gets a tip that she's at a Target doing some kind of photo shooting for family pictures there. That's where the movie ends, with McCarthy on the Target loudspeaker professing his feelings to her, and then they encounter each other. She pushes him down. She's mad at him, but then he professes his feelings to her, and so does she. And you know how the movie ends. I mean, it's just a predictable type of romantic comedy where the guy doesn't get the beautiful cover model girl in the end, who runs up with the girl that he's meant to be with. I told you it was a windy day here at Richmond. Virginia. So, Andrew McCarthy in a lead role is really good, especially back then. As one of the Brat Packers, he was one of the better Brat Packers, probably one of the more underrated ones. He's got this real charming sense of showing his emotions, like surprise and embarrassment, and especially the end at the party, his face when he's torn between the two girls is excellent. I think he's really good with showing emotion. Just a really likable actor. And it's too bad this movie didn't get any kind of, it was a complete flop. I guess you never hear about it. There's another movie called Only You from 1994 that comes up. I think it's also a romantic comedy, but that comes up first in Google searches for the movie title name. But I would check this out if you haven't already. Only You, 1992. Last night's feature presentation. To close out Christmas Fest. And I hope you watched the January season of movie watching preview from last night to give you an idea of what are some excellent films to watch during this season of movie watching that begins today, January 1st, and it will conclude January 31st, okay? All right, so we will miss Big Daddy, who has retired from Wire Club forever. It's always good to see him around. A lot of fun, but hopefully he'll check back in with, maybe he'll get an email or something. But we know he's happy trails, Big Daddy, and Happy New Year, everybody. See you tonight. Let's go Bulldogs.